Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai, Barak Yahweh, Basham Yahushai, Basham Kodash. The honors to the elders and apostles of James Street must doing peace, love, and salutations to all of the Akims in the four corners of this earth, pushing this word with all truth and sincerity. To speckled bird Akims and apostles out here who are tuned in, listening and learning sincerely, Shalom. This is Brennan Hall from James Jamaica Camp, and this will be lesson one. Lesson one on building moral character. I did a show previously on building moral character and what moral character is all about. A broad definition or a general definition of it is basically the lack or existence of virtues. You know what I mean? Virtues such as sobriety, responsibility, being responsible, forbearance, faith, you know what I mean? Charity, you know, fear, and you have a lot more, a lot of different virtues that build you up in being a righteous and respectable man. You know what I mean? So especially in this truth here, we're basically putting off the old man, which is the old character that we had, basically a lack of virtues, and basically putting on the new man. You know what I mean? Developing virtues, developing attributes that build you into a better person, or a more righteous person. So I can cancel that out. Right? So I did a show on what moral character is, and basically the building of moral character, and this will be basically lesson one of that. I don't want that, right? It will be a series going forward, and it will be a edifying one, right? Edifying and also uplifting series, right? I'll label them BMC for short, building moral character. This is basically lesson one. So I don't know if this show will be edifying in itself as well through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. You know what I mean? So responsibility of being responsible, right? We all know what that is, you know what I mean? We all basically have heard of that word, especially when growing up, you know what I mean, taking care of your responsibilities, you know. So know that we are basically in the ministry, you know what I mean? So much more we have to basically be more responsible. You know what I mean, within the ministry and also outside of the ministry, you know, outside of the ministry, meaning when it comes to dealing with your family, your friends, you know what I mean? Basically the carnal things that you have to deal with, work, you know, and also within the ministry, you know what I mean? Basically, fulfilling your responsibility, you put your hand to the plow. So basically, you made a commitment. You have to basically fulfill that commitment. It's your responsibility to work within the ministry or do the necessary work within the ministry. That needs to be done, right? Because you put your hand to the plow, So now you have to take on that responsibility. So a broad definition of the word responsibility, or also accountability, right? It's basically synonymous. Being responsible, it's fulfilling one's duties, you know what I mean? And what's the duty of man? What's the duty of man, Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 13 tells you, it says, uh, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So the whole duty of man is to serve Yahweh and walk in the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of your ability. And this is for so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans predominantly. I said predominantly because we have speckled bird Atkins and Aquats out there, brothers and sisters out there, because we were scattered through the four corners of this earth, right? So the whole duty of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, is to fear the Most High, keep His laws, commandments, and statutes, you know. So basically, for us within the ministry, pushing the word, we basically put our hand to the plow, cannot look back, So what's our duty? To serve within the ministry, do videos, to study, to basically study so that you can do videos to edify the flock. Study to go down the highways and byways and wake up the elect. That's our duty. Do videos, go down the highways and byways, edify the elect, and basically staying in the spirit, praying up, fasting, so that you can even produce more fruits, that you can work even better. So that's our duty within the ministry, yo. You know what I mean? So it says responsibility is fulfilling one's duty, right? Duties, and accepting the consequences of one's words and actions intentionally and unintentionally. You know what I mean? So even without, or let's say outside of the script, the ministry, still have to deal with the duties as a man. You know what I mean? And even as a woman, whether it's to your family, to your wife, your children, as to work. You know what I mean? You still have to be responsible. You have your work. You know what I mean? You have to fulfill your duties at work. Whatever you have to do, you have to fulfill it. If you're in customer service, you have to do a good job. You know what I mean? That's your duty to do a good job. So you fulfill a duty. That will even come over into the ministry as well. You know what I mean? Because if you're, in a sense, if you're not responsible out in the world, the same thing will be, you'll be the same in the ministry. You know what I mean? You will be responsible within the ministry as well. So in all walks of life, you have to be responsible. You know. So it says, fulfilling one's duty and accepting the consequences of one's words and actions. You know. So whatever I the word and one shall give account. So have to watch where you speak as well. You know what I mean? And the actions that you take, you take responsibility for that, So what you say and what you do, you take responsibility for that. With, within the ministry and outside, you know what I mean? Don't always find excuses, You know what I mean? But this or but that, No, take responsibility for your actions and words, right? So I want you to get Psalms 50. This is Psalms 50 and verse 23. It says, "Whoso offered praise glorified me, and to him that ordered his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God." You know what I mean? And conversation goes back to the Hebrew word darak, which means a course of life, but also a moral character. You know what I mean? So building moral character, you need to build that moral character. You need to add virtues, righteous virtues to your character, And one such virtue is responsibility, being responsible, right? So I have an excerpt here that I've written down. It says, being responsible means doing what needs to be done. What needs to be done is to push this word. Now I mean, try to wake up the elect of Israel. Now I mean, because the Yahweh is coming back, What needs to be done is to put forth the prophecies. Let the elect know what's coming. You know what I mean? To warn the people. Right? That's within the ministry. What needs to be done without the ministry now, right? It's basically you getting the necessary, the basic needs to stay alive. Having that work, working so that you can get your daily bread, provide for your household, and even for yourself that you can continue within the ministry, right? Uh, says needs to be done when it needs to be done. It means setting priorities and taking action on them. We don't put so setting priorities, you prioritize, right? Yes, we have a lot of brothers. We all, well, I won't say all, but most brothers, if not all, right, have a 9 to 5 go work, can't let, so you can't use that as an excuse as well to say, well, you have 9 to 5, so you can't do as much videos. You know what I mean? You have a 9 to 5, so you can't study as much. You have a 9 to 5, so you can't pray fast. You know what I mean? Or you can't let the worldly things that you need to do take up all the time. You have to prioritize, build a schedule. You know what I mean? This and this time you set down for the most, and you set this time down to pray. You set this time down to study, to the video. You have to prioritize. You know what I mean? Because it's all a part of being responsible. Says we don't postpone a task because it makes us uncomfortable or it is something we really don't want to do. You know what I mean? And the Apostle Kabari did a show that was titled "Comfort, right, and growth don't coexist." Comfort and growth don't coexist, So as it says here, being responsible, you don't postpone tasks because it's tedious, You don't procrastinate, right? You don't postpone a task because it's tedious. Yes, um, studying is a labor of the mind. It's tedious, yes. You know what I mean? But not because it's tedious, you're gonna put it off, and say, it's tedious, so you won't do it, No, it's your responsibility to do it, Being the responsible person is knowing that it's tedious and still taking it on, Right? And that it builds discipline as well, And that's another thing, that's a beautiful thing with virtues, you know what I mean? Adding, it's like one virtue, yo. Adding one virtue is basically, it helps add different virtues as well. So they all go hand in hand, you know? It says, uh, we live up to the promise we make. Ooh. And not just to others. You know what I mean? So we live up to the promises we make, yo. What's one promise that we made? You know, to serve the Most High coming into this ministry. Right? Let's get this is Luke. Let's get Luke real quick. Luke 6 and 12. This is Luke 6 verse 12. It says, "And it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain to pray." Let's see. Stop here. Back in Luke 6, but Luke 12. It's back in 9. Alright, so this is Luke 9 verse 12. Alright, I'm gonna get on that. It's like your word up, brother. Brothers, alright, so this is Luke 9 verse 62. And Yahweh said unto him, No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom. You know what I mean? So hey, we live up to the promise that we made, yo, and that's a form of commitment, yo. You know what I mean? We fulfill our commitment. So we basically came into this ministry. Us coming into the ministry, it's basically us promising to the Most High, you know what I mean? Making a vow that you will fulfill, that you will serve Him, basically, you know what I mean? That you will study, that you will try to edify flock, you'll try the truth, do videos, go down the highways and byways and serve Him, yo. So I have to live up to that promise that we made, yo, because we want the Most High to live up to His promise, right? And the Most High will live up to His promise. And what's that promise? To give us the kingdom, you know what I mean? So, let me get Ecclesiastes real quick. This is Ecclesiastes, I think it's chapter 4. Uh, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 5. Let's see. Verse 5. Ecclesiastes 5 verse 4, and the other way around it says, When thou goest a vow unto the Most High, defer not to pay it, for he had no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better it is that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. You know what I mean? Especially in these times, yo, when you have the apostles putting out a decree that it's a video on there, yo, you can't complain. You know what I mean? If you're complaining, it's better you never even come into the ministry to begin with, yo. You know what I mean? Because you coming into the ministry, I'm sure you've been asked many times, or if you know what you're a part of, right? And you said yes. So you can't complain, yo. You have to fulfill that promise, yo. You live up to the promise that you made, yo. You know what I mean? First, that you didn't even make the promise. Yeah? So you have to be responsible enough to live up to your promise. It says we live up to the promise we make, not just to others, but to ourselves as well. You know what I mean? And this is a promise that we did make to ourselves, because till we saw the brothers, we heard the truth, we heard, you know what I mean, that voice saying this is the way we want in it. And we decided, hey, this is what we wanted. We wanted to change ourselves, to reform ourselves. We wanted salvation, we wanted grace, and we wanted all of the different benefits of the kingdom. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the promise that we made to ourselves, coming into the truth, so to live up to that promise to ourselves as well, It says, being responsible also means we learn to manage our time in order to accomplish our goals, but at the same time, we don't take on so much that we become overwhelmed. So schedule out the time, your mind. And I mean your mind, set your time, plan out the day. Plan out the day before each night before you go to bed, plan out the next day. I mean, plan out next day, so you have to go on the one that you see the one, or the one that is it's all done in the spirit of the Most High. You know what I mean? It be carried out even how you set it. You know what I mean? But plan out the day, You know what I mean? Plan out when you have to sit down, study, pray to the Most High, do a video, you know what I mean? A lesson, you know what I mean? Separate from when you have to go to work, you know what I mean? So manage your time, You know? It says, If we overextend ourselves, it is not healthy for our recovery, and we likely won't live up to our commitment. Yeah? So if we take care of our commitments, even if it is if okay, it says even if it's something we might like to ignore, we feel better about ourselves, and that's true, yo. You do a video or two before you go to sleep, you do some reading, you know what I mean, you throw up a prayer before you go to sleep, you sleep like a baby, you know what I mean, because you know that hey, today you've done you've at least done your best, put out two videos, you know what I mean, you try to edify the flock, you know what I mean. You feel better in yourself, you know? So we have to live up to our commitment, you know? And a commitment. What's a commitment? It says an agreement. Like an agreement or a pledge to do something in the future, right? It says at the prison, especially a promise or agreement to do something, you know? And so we live up to that, we live up to the commitment, or the agreement that we made with how Hashem, how Shai, you know what I mean? To basically put forth the gospel, the good news, right? Basically try to be a better person, you know what I mean? Within the ministry, and a better person overall, you know? To do the work, the good work, you know? To do the work, which is putting out videos, studying, you know what I mean? Studying to show yourself approved, putting out videos, trying to edify the body, you know what I mean, to wake up the elect, you know what I mean? Yeah. It says an example of commitment is marriage, you know, a marriage, yo, and we are married unto Yahweh Shai. You know what I mean? We're reflecting the scripture like the bridegroom, you know what I mean? The the bride, sorry, the bride, yeah, and Yahweh Shai, the bridegroom, right? Says a committed person is simply one who regularly keeps their commitment, what he or she has signed up to do or not to do. You know what I mean? And just check out the usual marriage ceremonies, yo. I mean, persons making commitment to one another as to what they will do within the relationship and what they'll not do. I mean, they have to live up to those vows. It's the same thing within the ministry. You know what I mean? We made vows to the Most High that one, we will try our best to walk within His laws, commandments, and statutes. Two, we will study to show ourselves approved so that we can bring up edification to the body. You know what I mean? Help with the body as well, and also to wake up the elect. You know what I mean? Three, I mean that will basically show brotherly love, do all of the things that's required in the ministry. You know what I mean? So hey, all of those vows, all of those many vows, that we've made, we have to live up to them, It's our responsibility. And we're accountable. We're accountable for those vows. We're accountable for those words that we utter. We're accountable for the actions that we take. You know? Um so that's it on the commitment, yo. So let's get back into this. It says uh, alright. Alright, so it says each step we take towards being responsible and productive helps to raise our self-esteem and our relationships with friends, family, and co-workers improve tenfold. Being responsible pays big dividends. That's right, yo. You know what I mean? So you get this here. It says being responsible within the outside. So being responsible within the outside and ministry. It's basically within and outside. That's it, yo. So being responsible also means you're being dependable, you know, keeping promises, and honoring commitments, right? And also also you're developing our potential, right? It's lucky about that, So you're like being dependable. I mean, responsibility being dependable within the ministry and outside of the ministry, I mean, a brother can rely upon it to handle something for him, You know what I mean? Uh, Keeping promises, not only to the Most High, but to brothers as well, not only to brothers, to persons that you've made vows with outside of the ministry, you upholding those promises, You know what I mean? And you're honoring the commitments, the agreements that you make, You know what I mean? Honoring the agreements that you make within the ministry and outside of the ministry, as you being responsible, right? So, just bring out a few more precepts on this right here, yo. This is Philippians. Let's get Philippians real quick. You know where I'm going with this, yo. This is Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." You know. And so we're responsible for our own salvation at the end of the day, Our brother's work won't save us, Our brother's charity won't save us. What our brother does in the ministry, his fruits won't save us, You know what I mean? It'll be like the talents, the men with the talents, rather than the man that hid his talent. He's responsible for his action. He's the one that the master held accountable, And what happened? His talent was taken away from him and given to a man that did well, you know. So we're responsible for our talents, We're responsible for the actions taken and the words that are spoken, The vows that we made, we're responsible for them, You know what I mean? So we have to honor our vows, honor our commitments, you know what I mean? And in the end, you know what's coming out, reward, because each man will be rewarded as in accordance to his works, right? So this is let's take this real quick. Galatians 6 and 5, where every man shall bear his own burden. You know what I mean? So you should be responsible. Be responsible for your own self. You know what I mean? This is, let's see here. Timothy, 1 Timothy 5 and 8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So even outside of the ministry, you have to provide for your own. You know what I mean? But hey, you have to govern your house as well, outside of the ministry, dealing with your kids, dealing with your wife, you know what I mean? Parents as well, So, let's see here. Okay. Okay. Alright. So it says, and I'll close it out on this one, right? Okay, about that. Alright, so this is First Corinthians, let's talk about that. So I'll close out on this one. It says, 1 Corinthians 3 and 8. Now he that planted and he that watered are one, right? And every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor, You know what I mean? So hey, I don't want to tell you, this lesson was an edifying one. Again, you have to be responsible in the ministry and outside, You know what I mean? Being responsible is another virtue that we should add to our character or moral character to help us to build us within this ministry, to build us as men overall, you know what I mean, and help us in our everyday walk of life, you know. So hey, I don't want to tell you again, this was a define to the body, giving all praises to Yahweh, YASHAMIAHLA, YASHAMIAHLA. Us to the elders and apostles of GMS Great Stone. Peace, love, and salutations to the elect of Israel. Shalom.